Week 9. Greek Warfare. Warfare was a normal condition for a 5th century Greek state. The war with Persia was a national project which was waged with greater or lesser intensity through much of the 5th century, but individual Greek states fought each other on a regular basis. Peace could be defined as not fighting a particular opponent at that time. It was not regarded as the default condition for a city, and taking part in warfare was part of what defined a citizen of a city-state. This was particularly true of democracies such as Athens, and in this case Sparta. Here the voting was done by the people who did the fighting, and who were thus uniquely positioned to make sure that their laws were in fact put into effect. This consisted of heavily armoured warriors who fought in close formation. Given that the terrain of Greece was 80% mountains, and that strong defensive positions were available at every mountain pass, warfare tended to consist either of sieges or battles fought by consenting armies who arranged to both be present at the nearest available stretch of flat land in order to do the deed. Hoplites fought behind the large round shield which gives this type of warrior his name, the hoplon. This shield not only protected the warrior holding it, but overlapped to protect the person to his left, which explains both why the right was the place of honor on a battle line, and why battle lines under stress tended to shift to the right, as each warrior sought that extra bit of cover from the shield next to him. As well as a shield, the hoplite had an imposing helmet, a breastplate, often made of toughened linen, and greaves, which were metal protectors for the lower leg, the tops of which provided a handy place to rest the heavy shield when it was not in active use. Offensive weapons consisted of a long spear and a sword. This kit, the panoply, was provided by the individual and was often passed from father to son, though Athens, and possibly other states, provided replacement kit for a son whose father had died in battle and whom the enemy had stripped of his armor. Fighting in a phalanx was relatively safe, and casualties were low until the line broke. Once this happened, those who discarded their heavy shields and ran first were most likely to survive. This meant that every Greek went into battle with a dilemma. He was relatively safe unless his comrades broke and ran. If that happened, casualties would be heavy, and it was suicide to be amongst the last to run. So how long should one stay in formation when the battle line started to buckle? This was one reason why the Spartans were so formidable. They simply never ran, and knew their comrades would not either. They were also very good at warfare, and their opposition knew they were going to break first, so it was simply a matter of time before the first opportunist took the chance to flee the ranks. The Greeks not only fought each other, they also hired themselves out as mercenaries, for example in Asia Minor. The more lightly armed Persians were frequently surprised by the speed of the armoured hoplites. Running in full armour was an Olympic event, and at Marathon the speed of the Greek charge took them under the opening salvo of Persian arrows. The Persians were not given a chance for a second salvo. The Athenians specialized in naval warfare, essential for a state with an island empire. Rowers were paid a salary by the state, and the wealthiest people in the city were often called upon to supply a warship as a liturgy, a sort of voluntary tax. The wealthy also provided the cavalry of a Greek army. This cavalry was practically useless against a formed line of hoplites, but was superb at killing off the armoured soldiers if they were in rout.